Good afternoon or good evening, folks, and welcome to our Christmas special. It's Chris and I against the world here. Dwayne had an old war wound act up or something. He's out today, so Chris and I are going to have to guide you through the news.
Okay.
First of all, I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. And I hope and pray that all of you have the spirit of love, charity in you. And let's make a New Year's resolution that we keep it that way for the rest of our lives. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
That'd be incredible. Really good.
Sure would. Also, I would like to mention the fact that a friend of mine passed away, John Robbins on Main Street, or as us old-timers knew him as Sonny. Great guy. It was a Norfolk native, went to Walpole High School, as we all did, before King Philip, and was a star athlete down there on the football team. Then he went to school, became a teacher. He was the first hockey coach over to King Philip. And he was also, and he ended up in state government at the Department of Motor Vehicles. He was also active in town matters, serving as town treasurer, board of fire engineers, on the building committee for the fire and police station that's there on Main Street. And John, he's a great guy. He never got involved in the what's in it for me activities. He saw a need and he pitched in. He was a straight shooter, and the town is poorer for his passing. And may he rest in peace. So, Chris, I thought I'd start off with a couple of warm-up questions here. Right, just out of left field. What do you think about the monarchy?
I think it's losing its grip on the monarchy.
We here in the colonies, as it were, laugh at the monarchy. But in England, it's serious business.
Oh, yes.
And they really and truly, the monarchy influences their lives so much. They're style setters, they're trend setters. They're the spirit of dignity.
It's their culture, and they identify with it, and it brings unity to them.
I think you're absolutely right. I think it tends to be an anchor to hold the country in place, They've certainly had some clowns in the monarchy, but by the same token, they've had some wonderful people. Are they still relevant, though, in the 21st century? You seem to think they are.
I think they always will be, because I think it's a human need, and I think it will always be there.
Extremely well said. I'm very proud of you, because in my heart, I understand why it's there and how it's evolved. It could never happen over here. Never.
But we have our own figureheads.
The Kennedys, the Bushes. Yeah, you're right. But I don't think we could ever have the pomp and circumstance of the royal family.
Right from the get-go, we decided we wouldn't do that.
That's right.
Washington did not want to be king.
or nor Benjamin Franklin. But that's, well, anyway, that's an interesting way to kick things off. So while I'm on a roll, office romances. Are they going to survive this witch hunt that's going on? Do you realize that there's a big article in one of it's in the Wall Street Journal last week. They did some polling, and they kind of said this isn't the greatest polling in the world, but there was one poll that showed that 37% of the people that married met at work.
Oh, sure, because they have common interests and they see each other on a regular basis.
Absolutely right. So what happens if we have this wall erected between the two sexes here based on what he said or she said or he did or she did? I think that folks that work in companies are going to have to be cautious. I think these are career wreckers, these allegations.
Oh, they definitely are. People being fired left and right.
But, so I was talking to another person about this, and I thought she was very spot on with her reply. She said, this is going to set back women in business 15 years.
Really?
Men are going to be very wary of the choice between hiring a woman and a man.
Really?
Number two, she also said that a lot of women, and I know this is true because it happened to me a couple of times. I had a secretary who became much more than a secretary. She became an administrative assistant. And then she was actually able to step into a management position. And it was through, well, it was the fact that she was sharp. Both of them were sharp, aggressive, and that they had good personalities. But I think that the mentoring that's required to bring them up to speed, I don't think the men are going to put that mentoring in.
Oh.
I don't think so. I don't think that they're going to say, hey, Chris, why don't you hang around after work? I got some things I need to run by you, and we need some peace and quiet to talk. Well, first of all, your antenna is going to go up, and then everybody in the office's antenna is going to go up.
Because they know you're there both late at night.
That's right. And I found out something very interesting in my career. One of the boom eye-openers. I had a guy working for me. And he had, oh, the heck with it. I mean, he had a very strong sex drive.
Okay.
Married, with kids, but that didn't stop him. And we'd get new girls in the operation. They'd filter in, filter out, but he always wanted to work with them. And he drove a camper to work, parked it across the street in the parking lot, and why don't we have our lunch over in my camper? Subtlety was not his long suit. Well, do you know that the other women in the department complained? Now, why do you suppose they complained?
They weren't having a chance to go out there.
Chris, you are wise beyond your years, I'll tell you. That's exactly why. It had nothing to do with, oh, well, she's going to get an advancement, she's going to get a better job, or she's going to be over there on the good job, just checking work rather than doing work. No. It was, she was out there with him, and I'm not out there with him. Yeah. Well, that opened my eyes. I said to myself, I couldn't have thought of that in 1,000 years. But two of them came to me and said, you know what he's doing? I said, no, I don't. Well, put two and two together, you moron. I can't do that. I'm not good at high math. Tell me what's bothering you. Well, when it all came out, the bottom line was, what's he see in her and not in me? You could have knocked me over with a feather. I don't know. Anyway, whatever happened during this food fight that we're having? Whatever happened to due process?
That's really amazing me. I just can't believe it. What happened to, don't these people have contracts?
A lot. Yeah, but they got the morality clause in the contract.
Oh, I know.
Oh, yeah, the behavior clause. Oh, yeah. But if all of these guys are innocent, they say, I didn't touch that woman. Why are they all resigning? Why are they all quitting?
Well, they must be guilty.
Well,
or they don't want to go through the courts, or they don't want to have everything dragged out and exposed.
They don't want to have their family dragged into it. Yeah, I think that's got something to do with it. Yeah, but you know, I keep going back to.
But obviously, they don't need the money.
Right. That's right.
They can afford to do that.
That's right. I keep going back to the Salem witch trials. Mm-hmm. How many women did we burn? 20 or 21 at the stake? Seems to me. Now, you know, and I know they weren't witches. But yet, Cotton Mather said, bingo.
But they were witch trials.
They were.
And whether you could believe the evidence or what happened during the trials, or whether the trials were good or not, they still had a trial.
Yeah, because she went to a house and hugged a little kid, and the little kid got pneumonia and died. I mean, that's proof of witchcraft, or?
Well, they didn't have the scientific ability to know otherwise.
Yeah, true story. But I still, this is getting like this, the Salem witch trials. I mean, a lot of these women are accusing people of things that went on 20, 25, 30 years ago, and, well, I'm a little hazy on the details, but it seems to me, blah, 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 or...
Well, since you brought this all up, you asked me earlier for my prediction, and I probably thought you'd want to put it at the end of the show, but since you're talking about it now...
Yeah, let's do it right now.
The prediction is that they're going to have lawyers who just specialize in sexual assault. And they're also going to develop a standard like they do in murder cases, murder first degree, manslaughter, and things like that. And they're going to have some sort of yardstick to delineate the degree of sexual assault that's taking place. I mean, saying something versus doing something, there's a wide range, and right now they're just calling it sexual assault. But there has to be some degree of differences. And the lawyers are going to be advertising on TV like they do with automobile accidents. Call me and I will take care of your sexual assault. I guarantee discretion and all this.
Barry Weinstein, he's on all the late night shows. Call me, 800.
And it could happen, like you say, 30 years ago, and we can still prosecute. So it's going to open up a new avenue for lawyers to earn money.
Yeah, this isn't going to be good. This is not going to end good.
No.
This is going to end very badly, I think. And, you know, we want the sexes to be able to work together. Mm-hmm. We want, you know, let's throw love and marriage and sex and all that stuff out the window, and let's arrive at a point where men and women can meld together without sexual tension and all that sort of thing. This is just dividing it right down the middle and separating men and women.
It's not going to happen because there's some sort of religion that I can't remember. I think it was like in Pennsylvania. The women live on this side and the men live on that side, and they're supposed to be chaste their whole life. And what's happening is their religion is dying out because there's no more people coming up to take their place. So that's utopia in some people's minds, but it will never happen in reality.
Yeah.
Unless you go into like the Middle East culture, where the women are completely covered.
In their burqas.
And the men, I don't know what kind of sexual drive they must have, but the thing is, they can't trust other men to see their women, which means they can't trust themselves to see other women.
Do you know this whole burqa thing, if you'll just bear with me for a moment?
Sure.
This actually can work out well for men. Well, I think every man wants to have eye candy on his arm.
Sure.
So if he marries a gal and she's only seen in a burqa, he can tell everybody in the world he's got the hottest baby and going. Well, he might have married Dracula, who knows? But no one will ever know. So he doesn't have to pretend, or he can pretend, that he's really got a love muffin there, and he's done real well. He doesn't have to worry about guys at cocktail parties hitting on the bride. They can't find her under all those clothes, and they're afraid of what they will find. So this could actually work out for the guys, I suppose.
Oh yeah, but for women, I'm living in a tent. Would you like to live in a tent?
A hot tent in the summertime? Yeah. It must be nice when mosquitoes get up under there, too. Do they have them over there, or
I don't know.
The princes over there shoot them all? But, I mean, you want to talk about a backward society. I mean, it's incredible.
We think it's backwards. They don't.
They're changing, though. Beginning, anyway,
in
Saudi Arabia.
But people wonder, is it for the better or not?
You know, like the men wonder more than the women. They get, they're not educated. They get that beaten out of them. And that's another thing, too. I mean, how can you deny people an education?
Well, simply, you want to keep them as your slave.
Well,
and once they become knowledgeable, then they can become independent, and then they'll go against you.
Yep. I guess I was thinking of it from a morality point of view, but if they're amoral, they don't have any morals, then what's to stop them, Well, I tell you, I made, wait a minute now. Okay, I made a couple of predictions. First of all, I think within the next 2 years, we're going to see football change.
Football do what?
Football change.
Really?
Yeah, they're going to have to look at some of these injuries. And they're going to have to start worrying about lawsuits. But if I were the NFL, so look, football is a rough game, savage game. People love it. Look at the conflict. Wham! Look at those guys out there and all that. But people are being hurt badly. Guy got hurt last weekend, may not walk again. Spinal injury. If I were the NFL owners, I would be very much afraid that if we don't do something to tone this violence down, then the bane of our existence, the U.S. Congress, is going to get involved. And you cannot underestimate the amount of harm these morons are capable of when they form up legislation, especially about something they don't know anything about. I would want to keep the politicians out of this if I were the NFL for as long as I possibly could. They're too stupid and too greedy to, though, I think. Here's another one. The hotspot for 2018 will be the war of words between Saudi Arabia and Iran intensifying into armed conflict. I think it's going to come to that because this is going to be fought over religion.
Oh, no. It's terrible. I hate that because the religious wars go on forever. People they lose their sense of reality. Their logic goes out the window. It's just pure passion.
It's like the fight between brothers. There's no more intense fight than between brothers. And here you've got Shia Muslims and Sunni Muslims going to slug it out together. It's really, and Saudi Arabia, along with many of the other nations in the Middle East, are very concerned about Iran having a nuclear bomb. So, and they're just crazy enough to do something about it. Well,
it's very scary. It's become a very scary world.
It is very scary because you know what? I hope and pray it's all settled. I hope that somehow this North Korean dictator is taken out by the Chinese or by his own people or something. But if he's not, I think about one more missile test, and I think the U.S. is going to take out his missile capability and his military capability. And then you want to talk about a house full of cards? Whammo. Chinese don't want it because the North Koreans are going to flee into China. China's kind of really caught between the devil and the deep blue sea. They don't want to see North Korea fall apart. But by the same token, North Korea wants to be reunited with South Korea, with North Korea being the boss. And China doesn't want that either. Because then, if the worm ever turned and South Korea became the dominant partner, then they would be on the border of China. And China would have a U.S. ally on their border. They don't want that.
So China should take over North Korea.
Bingo. I think so. I really and truly do.
Well, that seems to be the only solution.
Yeah.
Whether it'll happen or not, who knows, but it seems most logical.
Right. Now, there's also a little piece of Russia that borders North Korea. Now, they're also agonized about all of this, too. So, I mean, this is really a devil's brew, this whole mess over there. But I'm afraid we don't find our way out of this in the next 3 to 6 months.
Certainly coming to a head.
Yeah. First of all, it was Scott Pelley on CBS News. Next, Charlie Rose. And then Matt Lauer, all being axed by their respective networks.
I'm surprised that the network is doing that.
I don't think they have any choice.
Really?
Yeah, some of the women that are also celebrities on these shows are the ones getting grabbed by these guys.
Well, yeah.
And I think the networks have to be holier than thou, I think. That's part of their thinking. But I also think it's a publicity that's going to harm their ratings. Suppose it was just CBS that had 3 different guys.
Oh, true.
Well, then you know what the Bible Belt down south is going to do. Well, take CBS off our channel listing there, mother.
But do you think they'll really listen to that?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Now, Matt Lauer. Now, they said, Matt Lauer, we don't have any way of proving this, but they said he was responsible, or his show, Today Show, was responsible for $300 million in advertising.
Oh.
I think you'll listen to it. So where does this all stop? I hope it doesn't stop, really, with these phonies that are on TV. Man, I just hope they keep right on piling right on with them. Now, the opioid crisis is at a critical stage with over a dozen years of increasing overdose deaths. I don't see any light at the end of the tunnel. I hate to think this is a lost generation, but I don't think this epidemic has run its course, and I'm afraid we'll see more and more deaths. In fact, the pro-treatment people, the liberals, that don't want to see these people put in institutions or in jails, but want to work with them on the outside, even they admit that because of momentum, they're not going to be able to reduce these deaths for 2 or 3 years before they get to a flat spot and can actually start lessening the deaths. As a nation, we've lost our moral compass. Religion is under fire, and when the Hollywood crowd is revered and worshipped, and worshipers are mocked and reviled, we have no place to go but down. So what's the solution? Leadership? National resolve? Much tougher sentencing for the death peddlers? I'm not sure, but we better figure it out pretty damn quick.
Well, I think the only thing that's going to really change it is if we have a depression, because that's going to change people's values.
Once again, you've struck right to the quick of the argument. What do we have when we have a depression?
You have people reaching out to people and helping each other.
We have people reaching out to God for help.
And that too, yeah.
Church attendance goes up quickly.
Well, definitely.
Just like that old saw about there are no atheists in foxholes. When things get bad, you turn to the Almighty God and say, help me. But we have this arrogance now that we don't need God. And I'm from a much, from a Catholic background, and I really believe in my religion, and I really believe that I don't have anything in this life that hasn't been given to me by God. I don't have that home. I don't have my wife, my kids, anything. I don't have any possessions. I don't even have this pen. I believe that the good Lord is providing for me and has provided for me. And if I don't realize that, I think it makes life a lot more difficult. I don't know. But that's me, and I believe in that. We've already had the election down in Alabama.
I'm so glad of the outcome.
Yeah. And just as we approach Christmas and celebrate the joyous birth of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, it's a season of giving gifts. And I can't help but think of the gifts Obama has left President Trump. Obamacare, the deficit, North Korea, Iran, Syria, and all as a result of timidity, stupidity, and extremely poor judgment.
Well, I don't agree with all of that. And I also think you have to think of what he inherited. He inherited a financial crisis, and he got us through that. We didn't go down the drain. Also, he put forth a lot of environmental protection legislation that's going down the drain. And Obamacare may not be perfect, but people have been, we're the only industrial country in the world that doesn't have care for all its people. And we need that. And even though it wasn't a perfect health bill, it was a start. And then you can rearrange it and modify it and do this and that to it. But it was at least a beginning.
But you can't. In all practical purposes, you can't do that. It's like Social Security. It's the third rail. Republicans are not allowed to touch Social Security because it's the Democrats that did it. And they will cling to the death to stop Republicans from touching Social Security.
But they are changing Social Security. Now you have to work till you're 67 in order to get full benefits.
Yeah, but
there are been changes to Social Security.
Modifications.
What?
Modifications.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah, but not changes, not structural changes.
Well, how would you want changed?
I would say that number one, paying 2% interest on funds that are deposited for Social Security is an obscenity. I would also say that people should be able to decide earlier in their lifetimes whether or not they want to be more aggressive with Social Security and be in the equity markets. Instead, you're saying to people, you're going to be mediocre. That's it.
Yeah, but the thing is, Bush tried to do that. Bush tried to say, we'll let people invest in equities, but you're going from a point where you are a logical, sensible person. I don't know if shouldn't say this, but a lot of the majority of the people are not going to save. Well, that's why all these people are in debt today. They don't have the discipline to save.
I agree with you, totally.
Plus, how do I, as a person, know what equities? I'm not educated. They don't educate me in school for that.
Here's what I would do. And this is something that the Bush plan wanted, but the Republicans were like a bunch of baying hounds, nipping and biting and slashing away at the Republicans. Republicans couldn't get their message out, plus the fact the media is 90% Democrat. But what could happen here, I think, would be you would have 3 plans in Social Security. And you would start at age 18 through age 40. Age 41 through 65 or retirement, and then 65 plus. And you would turn over the management to Fidelity, Vanguard, those people, and you would say, all right, so you want to have 70% in the stock market and 30% in bonds here. Over here, you want to be probably more like 60-40. And over here, you probably want to be like 35-65. And you change the complexion of it.
Well, that's what the financial institutions are selling us today. They're selling us that product.
Right.
I don't know how they invest the Social Security money now. But the thing is, things that they tell you, the assumptions they make, the Fidelity brokerage houses don't always ring true. And I think like 65 now, they're changing their tune a little bit. And then they're saying that maybe after 65, you should be in more in stocks. And they're also saying when you reach that age, you are going to have less taxes. But taxes seem to be going up to me. So all this years that you've been told that, and it's not happening.
You're right, but we've got to make a better system out of what we have. And if you look at stocks, and we take the number I've seen has been 1920, so it's been pretty close to 100 years. Mm-hmm. Okay, stocks, 10+% per year.
Exactly, that's what they say.
And balanced stocks, which is a 70-30 mix, 9%, only 1% less. Over here, you're looking at, this is more in the 8%, 7.5% range when you drop down a little bit more. And over here is around 6%. This is 35% stocks, 65% bonds. But in this mix is the Vanguard Wellesley Fund, which I hold and have held for years, and it's a marvelous fund. It's called a 40-60, but when they get through gumming around, it's around 35, 65, and then they hold some cash. But they bang out 7.5% every year.
Wow.
You know,
so then the question comes, who decides which financial institution we go with? And the other thing is, when everybody buys the same stock,
the price has got to go up.
Right. So you're not going to earn the same percentage. So I don't know, what does the government do? How does the government invest our Social Security money now?
They put it into some sort of a bank, paper, and it yields 2%.
Okay. But that's guaranteed. Mm-hmm. This stuff isn't guaranteed.
No, but if you look at it through thick and by
what the averages are.
And here's how I would do this. And here's the pie. And here's everybody's Social Security money.
Okay.
Fidelity manages a quarter. Vanguard manages a quarter. T. Rowe Price manages a quarter. And over here, I don't know.
It's all split up between the rest of them.
You should throw Putnam and Barron's and a couple others in there. And, all right, these guys are judged on their returns and their safety.
But then again, this is going to be political. Who chooses this? And then there's going to be all kinds of financial Houdini stuff saying that they're going to fight each other to get the funds, and it's going to be politically decided who gets this. That's not going to work out well. And the other thing is, life is getting so much complicated now that to choose is going to be even adding more complications.
Well, okay, now, I hear you, and let me just suggest to you that the 401ks have got to be made mandatory. No longer can we say to people, you can invest in these and get a tax break on them. They got to be made mandatory.
They do have that someplace. You have to opt out of it.
Right. But I'm saying you're in it.
You can't opt out.
You can't opt out. And what the 401ks do is they offer you just exactly what I showed you. Right. Oh, they call it A, B, C, D, and E. With E being cash and cash equivalents, this being a 30-70 mess, this being a 50-50, this being a 70-30, and this being 100% in stocks. Mm-hmm. And name your poison. When you're in your 20s, right
but
there.
You still have to choose a financial institute.
Well, when you go to work for the Bill Crane Company, I choose the financial. If I decide that we'll.
So you really have no choice at all.
Right. You, but no, wait a minute. Now you do. Supposing, and I've always done it with Fidelity, okay? But Schwab, T. Rowe Price, Vanguard, they're all the same, okay? So you can go to Fidelity and the Bill Crane Company. And so I've got 30 employees, and they say, well, okay, so we'll give you Plan 3. And that gives you 8 Fidelity funds to choose from. It gives you 4 Vanguard funds to choose from, 4 T. Rowe Price funds to choose from, 1 Barron's. It goes on like that.
Okay, so who's going to have the education to know the difference between these?
Well, now.
And plus the other thing is what's going to happen, I think, is the 401k is going to replace Social Security because everybody now, and then also another thing that gets thrown into the mix is people are their own contractors. So they're going to have personal 401ks. I mean, people change jobs.
Oh, you can have self-directed 401k. Well, it actually is a SEP IRA, I think, is what you're talking about. And that's how they handle it.
This stuff is going to replace Social Security.
The Democrats will never allow that to happen, and the Republicans will never have enough votes to change it. I don't think. We had the Simpson Bowles. Remember Simpson Bowles?
No.
Okay. Simpson was a senator from Wyoming, and Bowles was in the Clinton administration, I think. And they went off in a room by themselves.
I hope
figuratively speaking. And they just produced the Simpson Bowles plan.
Okay.
And it was so clear, so simple, that both the Republicans and the Democrats were afraid of it. And they were afraid for this reason. If the Democrats embraced it, the Republicans immediately would come down on them like a ton of bricks. You people don't know what you're doing. You're morons. You're idiots. This is wrong, wrong, wrong. If the Republicans touched the third rail, the Democrats would do the exact same thing. So neither one, with approximately a 50-50 government, neither one of them dares to tip the scales.
So that just shows you, what you're proving to me is people are not capable of making good educational, logical decisions, because all they're saying is, because you're the other party, we're going to be against you.
That's right. That's
so if they don't have
right.
enough to choose this, how are they going to choose this when all you hear here in America is all kinds of advertisements? Keep up with the Joneses, get the latest car, buy this, buy that. This is a consumer society. And to get people to save is incredibly hard. Especially when they have that choice, when they don't have to pay Social Security.
Yeah. I think Social Security is going to be with us forever. I don't, well, let's put it this way, in our lifetimes.
Right.
You've got, let's see, you got at least 50 years to go, and I have 6 or 8. So anyway, it's not going to happen, I don't think, because the Democrats will go down to the last bullet to save it. I don't think the Republicans are stupid enough to do away with it. This is sort of like having a headache. I'm sorry, Social Security is like having a headache, and one of these things could be like a double dose of cancer. This is fraught with some of the problems that you described. Now, when I was working at the Foxborough Company, I worked in a large office back as a young man in my 20s. But I had learned about the stock market at Walpole High School. I took business courses. So we got an investment plan. There was four pieces. We got stock. We got Foxborough stock. We got a stock mutual fund. We got a bond fund, and we got a cash fund. And that was back in the days when you could get 5 or 6% on a cash account. A lot of people said, boy, I'm afraid of that. I don't understand bonds. So sign me up for cash. Now, this guy that sat in front of me, and so I said, what are you going to do? He says, well, now, by the way, you have 4% taken out of your pay. The Foxborough Company gives you 2% matching. So you got 6% of your pay to invest in these 4 places. I mean, I think I just took equities. But this guy sat in front of me, said, you young people are pretty stupid. And of course, I had heard this song so many times before from my friend Link. I said, how come this time, Link? Well, he said, you're giving the Foxborough Company your money. And he said, you think they're going to give you something back. Did you ever hear the story about there is no free lunch? He said, well, I'm going to tell you something, sonny boy. You're going to grow up and realize you were swindled. He said, I'm not giving them a penny. Well, when my stock fund went up 25 or 30%, and I was showing it to Link, he said, that's how they suck you in. But here's the thing. We had a lot of people in that department. It was order entry. And, boy, I'll tell you, I believe we had 50 people. Well, there's a couple of other guys that understood this. All the rest of them brought the things over to me to have me explain to them what they were all about, especially the ladies. And I would say to them, well, look, don't do this. Do half of this and half of this. But jeepers creepers, don't do that. Oh, okay, Bill. Then I'm saying to myself, if this flops and this goes up, they'll kill me. So then I eventually just said to myself, I'll explain to you what it is, but you got to choose this on your own. But they could not understand the concept of taking this number and divide it by 4 and put 25% in these 4 places. They just could not understand how you could do that. And then mutual funds. Well, what stocks are they going to put in the mutual fund? I said, I don't know. Well, so you're going to buy something you don't know? I said, I'm buying it from a management company. They have a long proven track record. Okay? They're going to choose as well as they can. I'm going to put my money on it. It's a heck of a lot better than 4% in the bank. Ah, that's what you think. But you're right. It's like the electorate in this country. We rely on a intelligent and educated electorate. We don't have that.
Right.
And we don't have people capable of figuring this out. Our school systems have failed.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, I'm sorry. You used to be a teacher.
No, I was directed to teach what I was given to teach. And I've seen teachers who have been excellent teachers and taught reality to these kids who are fired because they're not following the curriculum.
Deviated from the guidebook.
That's right, and it's outrageous.
It is. You know, when I went to Walpole High School, I had some old teachers down there. I mean, antiques. But they taught practical things. Yep. So this semester, we're going to balance checkbooks. I'm going to get you. She'd go to the bank in Walpole and get 30 checkbooks and come back, and she'd give us problems and all that. And then another time, it was the stock market. And another time, it was figuring out, well, I think loans and stuff like that at the banks. And the other exercise was also shopping. How to shop intelligently.
Wow.
How to shop with comparing
there's
prices.
so much that we don't know that are crucial to our life that they do not teach us.
Yeah. So I guess if I could cook up a system like this, which would generate a heck of a lot more money than the 2% that they're paying, I guess we'd have to have counselors. And then who watches the counselors? I'm very depressed now. Oh, well. My jingos. I want you to take a look at Simpson Bowles on the internet.
Okay.
And see the common sense kind of things they wanted to do. For instance, deductions for Social Security. Why should that stop at $120,000? Yeah, why can't it go to $2 million?
Yeah, that's so funny.
Better yet, why can't it just go?
And why are they eliminating the estate tax?
Yeah.
That's so bizarre.
Yeah.
I mean, that estate tax was put in when the Vanderbilts and the Carnegies and everything were amassing such huge amounts of money and passing it on, that eventually they could see what was going to happen. So they put the estate tax in. I mean, what we're doing now is we're splitting the lower and the rich and the poor even more with this new tax reform. I don't know how they're getting away with it.
You know, the American people are stupid.
The thing is, we're going to be better if they had no tax reform.
Right. Well, no, I'm not going to say that. But I am all for doing away with the estate taxes. And this tax reform is really going to take a lot of estate taxes away.
But right now, if it's under, what is it, 2 million, under 5 million, it's tax-free.
Yeah.
So what about these? Eventually what you're going to have is you're going to have one Walmart, one Google, and one not medical, but they're going to rule the world. Right now they have more money than some countries have. And you don't think that's power?
No, you're right. But what I was going to point out was you take, for instance, the estate tax. Okay, up to 5 mil is free.
Okay.
Okay. So you've got family farms of, say, 640 or 1,280 acres out in the Midwest. And the price per acre has skyrocketed. So they can't pass it along to their family.
But see, the thing is, what they can do, and they do for a lot of rich people, is they make an exception for those people.
Yeah, and then you got to bribe your congressman or somebody to take care of you, or the lawyers.
That's what a rich person would do. They'd put a lobbyist in there, and they'd exempt those people from the estate tax.
They're trying to exempt family farms, and I know that that's out of there. Because I think it's, you got husband, wife, 4 kids, and they pass. Well, 4 kids split up this property, but if you can't afford the taxes, the family farm disappears. It's cut up into who knows what, maybe even house lots.
But our fear, our danger is not the local farm. Our danger is the people who control Microsoft and Warren Buffett and those people who are worth trillions. So why not just what they've been doing? They went from 1 million to 2 million to 5 billion. Do it up to 10 million.
Absolutely. Well, okay, you meant the estate? I guess I was thinking about Social Security deductions. Why should it stop at 112,000 or whatever it happens to be now? I think it might be up around 130 or something like that. Why can't it go to 5 million? You know what? It wouldn't hurt these guys any more than a mosquito landing on my arm and biting me. It would have the same effect because these guys have got lawyers and they've got investment professionals that are going to say, well, don't worry about it. I'll put you into this hedge fund and I'll put you into this deal that we're working on. You can win as a limited partner. You're making more money, for heaven's sakes, than you would have the other way.
And the thing is, when they give these executives bonuses, what's another 5 million to them? But if they gave that 5 million to the workers, we'd have a middle class.
Yeah, but we're not going to have a middle class for quite a while. And I'll tell you why. Because I listen to Fox Financial every morning. And they got some very, very well-educated and successful businessmen on there. And I've had 3 or 4 of them lately say the same story. The middle class is in trouble because without a college education, there are not going to be jobs for the middle class.
Well, to me, a college education is just like a high school education. To me, it's nothing. All kinds of people getting out of colleges, and they're not getting what they think is a college job.
Well, I mean, when they're taught basket weaving and stuff like that in college, I'm not surprised, I mean, look, you cannot get a failing grade at Harvard. They get A plus, A, and A minus. Yeah. So, thank you. That's amazing, But they're also saying you're going to need a degree or a master's degree. to get a good job. Well, when we have a dropout rate in this country of what, 30% in high school?
And then there's a big drop-off rate at college, too, after freshman year.
Yeah. When they realize they don't get points for beer drinking. We're going to need some visionaries in this country to set us straight. I'm not sure it's doable. I'm very discouraged about the inner cities, education. As far as business is concerned, jobs are concerned, there's going to be plenty of opportunities out there. But there's going to be people that aren't going to be able to handle the opportunities. And I think therein lies the tale. And on that note, folks,
Merry Christmas.
we want to wish you a very, very Merry Christmas. And sorry to end up on such a downer of a note here, but come the new year, we're going to slug our way through it. We'll show you the right way to do things.
Okay.
Next time, by the way, I've got some tremendous examples of PC, politically correct, running amok. You're not going to believe some of this stuff. I don't even believe some of this stuff. So, I wish you a very, very pleasant, we wish you a very, very pleasant Merry Christmas and a happy, prosperous New Year.
Very good.
Very good. All right. Good night, folks.